Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Mill. I'm Valerie Eastburn, Chair of Drama, and we are here to celebrate our 6 winning playwrights of the 7th Emerging Playwright Competition. 7 years, it's amazing. And this year we have some repeat playwrights. For those who don't know about the Mill, we're a volunteer, completely volunteer organization, membership-based, volunteer-driven. So there are a lot of people that worked getting this event going. And I'd like to thank our wonderful actors, 15 actors. I'd like to thank Fran Young, our director, our sponsors, our sound and lights person, our front of house, and our drama committee, all working hard to do these events. We are, as I mentioned, membership-based. We have membership envelopes in the back. If you'd prefer to go online, if you like what you experienced tonight, go online at phillipsmill.org, and you can very easily sign up and become a member, because we have lots of great activities. Not only do we have one of the longest running art shows in the country, we have a photography exhibition and lots of drama events. For example, tomorrow we are doing a monologue salon on December 1st. It's a holiday soiree, so it's a great big party to kick off the holidays. December 8th, we have another salon, improvisation, which is going to be fabulous. And on December 19th, we have Victorian ghost readings around the fire while sipping warm cider and popcorn, which will be marvelous. So it'd be wonderful to have you all come to that. Okay, there was something important I needed to say after this. I can't remember what it was. Cell phones off, bathrooms. It wasn't even that. It was something else. I'll pop up here again if I remember what it was. Yeah, yeah. Everybody knows where the bathrooms are now, downstairs. Come back up this way. Cell phones off. Exits are there, and the one you came in behind you. So now I would like to bring up our MC of the evening, Griffin Horn. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you all for coming and joining the Mill in its mission of supporting new plays in New Hope and the area.
I just remembered what it was. Even though we're volunteer-based, it does cost money to put these events on. And I am not embarrassed to say we have a donation jar back there on that table. So if you are so moved, we will gratefully accept any donations you put in that jar. Thanks.
As Val said, the Mill is committed to helping new playwrights in the area, particularly now when a lot of new play development programs have shuttered. Programs like this are incredibly important, so please do consider donating. This is an important part of the community because it means that the stories around here get to be the ones that get up on stage. My name is Griffin. I'm going to be serving as the Master of Ceremonies tonight. I've also directed the premiere showcase for the past 2 years in the summer. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our plays and playwrights really fast, and then at the end of the show I'm going to lead a post-show discussion, a brief post-show discussion, where you can ask questions of the playwright, and also you will get a chance to talk to a Broadway producer whose name is Victoria Weinberg. She is a part of the Glass Half Full production company and has done plays on Broadway, the West End, and Australia. So it's the outline for tonight. So without further ado, I want to quick introduce our playwrights. We have Sister Wives by Alexis Telzika. Is Alexis here by any chance? If she could stand. If not, that's okay too. So we're going to start with Sister Wives by Alexis Telzika, and then In Passing by Vida Morales. Is Vida here by any chance? Then In Pursuit of Prudence by Sam Affamato. Is Sam here by any chance? Hey! The Star Road by Barbara Blattner. Is Barbara here?
I'm here.
Thank you, Barbara. Cupcakes by Jennifer O'Grady, who unfortunately cannot make it tonight. And 3 Visits by Lisa DeAngelis. Where's Lisa? So, like I said, after our readings, we're going to have a brief 10-minute post-show discussion where you can ask some questions of the playwrights about their process and what it's like to have a reading of their new play. As we're going through, make sure that you stay curious about these plays so that we have some questions to bring to the playwrights at the end. And like I said, after the post-show discussion, we will be talking with Victoria Weinberg as well about the challenge and the joy of producing new plays. And without further ado, I'm going to pass things over to Fran, our intrepid director.
There are 2 or 3 seats up here. I see a lot of people coming in and maybe some issues with seats. So,
Couple here too, Fran.
yeah, 2 over
Few
here
seats
too.
here.
Yeah, actually 4.
Okay. So you don't have to sit on the floor. Well, good evening. I'm delighted to welcome you to the 7th annual reading of the Emerging Playwright Competition winners. We have a cast of wonderful actors to present these plays, some of whom are veterans of the Mill stage, and some are performing with us for the very first time. We will begin with the play Sister Wives by Alexis Telzika. The characters in the play are Sally, who is deceased. She is Fred's first wife. Fred, who is also deceased, he was husband to both Sally and his second wife, Penelope. Penelope, who was wife to Fred and Tommy, but she is living, and Tommy, a younger man. He is Penelope's second husband, and he is living. The setting is a graveyard. At least 6 plots on stage, with 2 sturdy headstones topping the middle plots. At rise, Sally and Fred sit on or by their graves. Fred is in his best suit, something he might have plausibly been buried in. Sally also is in a beautiful long dress. The air is tense. Neither speaks. Sally traces the words and grooves on her gravestone idly. Fred reaches out. He tries to gently stroke her face. She allows it, hesitantly, until Penelope enters the stage, dressed in a simple black dress. Penelope places flowers on Fred's headstone and murmurs a prayer. Fred is watching Penelope, while Sally watches Fred, watching her. Sally glares, and her gaze bouncing between Penelope and Fred.
Did you like her more than me?
No.
Penelope touches Fred's headstone for a brief moment. He places his hand on top of hers. Penelope then walks away off stage. Fred follows her for a few steps and then cannot go any further.
Let me ask you this. If you had met her when I was alive, would you have left me for her?
Of course not.
No, of course not. When I was alive, you never would have taken a dancing class.
Sally, we've been over this. I was trying something new.
Trying more than one new thing. The last time you danced with me was at our anniversary party.
You hated dancing.
Hate dancing. Still hate it. But I hate the idea of you grinding against another woman even more.
Sally, it was ballroom dancing. There's no
Penelope walks over with Tommy, pointing out Fred's headstone. Tommy is dressed in slacks and a button-down, professional. He carries a clipboard or notebook and a pen.
This is him.
So this is what we've decided on buying today?
Yep, that's right. Right here, right next to him.
Okay, that's block 4, section C. It's numbers 11 and 12.
Tommy claps Penelope on the shoulder with a kind nod and then walks away. Penelope follows after him.
What's this? She's gonna be buried next to you? I'm gonna have to sister wives my afterlife? This is supposed to be my afterlife. When I was dying, what did I say?
Well, you said...
I said I can't wait to see you in heaven. Look what you've done.
What have I done?
Now you've gone and made it my hell.
Oh, don't you think you're being just a bit overdramatic?
It's still fresh.
Well, not to me.
Wow, really?
Oh, will you cut it out? Penelope and I were married a decade, Sally. Look, and before you say anything else, it's not as much as our 50 years. I get that. But we made each other happy. We moved to Florida. We got a dog. It was a nice time. Well, what now?
I hope you didn't describe our marriage to her as a nice time, like you're describing a night out bowling.
Everybody said she would be happy to see me moving forward with your life, being happy. She would want you to be happy.
I do.
She grasps Fred's hands.
I want you to be happy, but I always wanted to be part of that. Always.
Fred kisses Sally on the forehead, then separates. Fred sits on his plot, leaning his head against his headstone. Sally hesitates and then walks over, drumming her fingers along his headstone, quietly, nervously.
What was the dog's name?
Brian,
That's awfully human name, don't you think?
he was from a shelter. I mean, it was the name that he came with. He'd had it for a couple of years before we came along. We didn't want to change it. You would have hated him anyway. He was a jumper and a yapper. But he was a good boy. It is a good boy. I miss him. I hope he's not giving Penn too much trouble. Honey, it was not my fault that you died.
Yeah, I suppose not. But you moved on rather quick.
5 years is not quick, Sally.
What's the rule that people say half the amount of time that you were together is the amount of time it takes to recover?
I think that's for breakups, they're not deaths.
So it would have to be like 25 years?
Sally, if I'd waited 25-year mark to be up, I would still be over a decade out from that. Believe me, I mourned you for that entire time.
Fred touches Sally's face gently. She pulls away.
Did you? You never came to visit.
Sally, that's just not true. I was here for your burial.
That doesn't count.
And then I brought you flowers on your birthdays and our anniversaries, and I brought Penelope here to visit you.
And then, soon after that, you didn't visit
We
anymore.
moved to Florida.
Fred kisses Sally passionately.
How dare you think I could forget you? You know, we had a place setting at our wedding for you.
You did?
Yes.
Next to you?
No, next to your sister.
Oh.
You got a small table, separate from everyone else, and only for you. It was on my side next to me, so I could look over and see your picture the whole time.
Oh, honey.
It was Penelope's idea.
Really?
Yes, really. Penelope always said she thought you brought us together because you didn't want to see me so miserable and depressed anymore. Sally, I was depressed. For the first year, I didn't leave the house. The kids kept bringing me microwave meals.
That's really very sad, dear.
I know.
And it's a sweet thought. It really is, but I wouldn't have brought you together. You two did that all on your own.
Now, if I'd have known the rest of my life, death, would be like this with you badgering me the whole time and making me feel guilty, like I'm a cheater, then I never would have done it. Is that what you want to hear?
Well, kind of. But no. I am glad you were happy.
How many times does this guy have to show her a plot before he can sell it to her?
Tommy and Penelope's hands intertwine.
What's this?
Looks like she has a lover
Sally brushes her hand against Tommy's, inspecting the surface.
or a husband.
Penelope nudges Tommy.
Fred, thank you for taking care of Penelope and loving her. And thank you, Sally. I don't know much about you, to be honest, but thank you for loving Fred. Fred, I know you treated Penelope well, and I think, well, I have to assume that you must have learned a lot from being married. Being married to you, Sally. So thank you to you both. Was that okay? Was that kind of what you wanted?
That was perfect. Thank you. I really, really miss him.
I know.
You think he'd be mad at me?
What on earth for?
Well, for bringing you here? For moving on?
No. I know he would want you to be happy.
Tommy kisses Penelope.
Come on, let's go home. Brian has got to be itching for a walk by now.
How does it feel?
End of play. Cecily, could you? Our second play is In Passing by Vita Morales. Our characters are Laurie Hughes, Yasmin, and Stan. At Rise, Laurie Hughes, early 50s, wears the delusions of life in every wrinkle of her face. She sits on a fire escape, smoking a cigarette and sipping a beer out of a can. It's a hot day, but the beer is frosty and refreshing. She flicks ashes to the ground below, and some rain down on her neighbor, Yasmin. Faint music, cool Americana country, plays from inside Laurie's apartment. A distant bachata rhythm emanates from Yasmin's apartment downstairs. Throughout the first part of the play, we can hear the sound of doorbell buzzers emanating from the two apartments, one at a time.
Hey, crazy lady, stop flicking your shit down on me.
Oh, can it, Jazz?
Well, someone's ringing your doorbell.
I saw him.
Well, aren't you going to see what he wants?
I don't know him.
He knows you.
Yeah?
Si, senora loca.
How do you know?
'Cause he's been ringing my bell, too.
Well, then maybe he knows you.
I don't know him. He's some white guy with nice clothes. Skinny, a Miami type. California, maybe?
Then he's not looking for me.
Me either, but I know he's looking for you because he knows your name. Is Mrs. Hughes at home?
That's probably some politician.
I don't think so.
Is he wearing a blue Oxford shirt with the sleeves rolled up?
No. He's wearing a pink shirt.
Oh, then he's gay.
Maybe, but you know, just because a man wears pink doesn't mean he's gay.
What do I care? Love is love.
Love is love. Maybe this guy is in love with you. You should answer the bell.
Nobody nowhere is in love with me.
Ah, but I love you, loca.
Yeah, right.
The buzzer sounds from Jasmine's apartment.
Ay, coño bendito, stop already.
We'll see what he wants.
Oh, you see what he wants.
He's not ringing my bell, he's ringing yours.
You know what, Loquita? You are one lazy bitch.
She turns towards her apartment, and we hear her talking over the loudspeaker to the street below.
Hello? Who is it?
We cannot hear the person's response, as it is scrambled by static. But Yasmin can decipher it, and she responds.
I told you already, she doesn't live here. She lives upstairs. Ring her doorbell, okay? 4N. She'll answer now, I already told her. She knows you're looking for her. What's your name? Okay, hold on.
She reappears in the window.
Hey, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
He's looking for you. Said your whole name and everything, first and last.
Well, then he's a cop.
Maybe he's a cop. So what? Answer the fucking doorbell.
No.
Okay, crazy lady. I'm going to tell him to come here and talk to you from my window.
Don't do that.
Why?
He might be a murderer.
Oh, you're an idiot.
He might rape you.
Nobody's going to rape me. I'll pop his eyes right through the other side of his head. Besides, I think I have at least 30 or 20 pounds on him and...
Nothing. Let him in if you want. I ain't going nowhere, but no way is he coming into my apartment.
Crazy bitch. I bet he's going to tell you you won the lottery or something. I want half just for putting up with your shit.
She moves inward toward the apartment, and we hear her calling downstairs on the intercom. As she summons the stranger, Laurie starts gathering up her beer cans, cigarettes, an ashtray to go inside. She struggles and drops a few things. From inside Yasmin's apartment, we hear footsteps approaching the window, and a man answering her small talk. Yasmin returns to her window.
Oh, senora, there's a nice man here to see you.
I don't want to talk to anybody today. Sorry.
Oh, he's a very nice man. His name is Stan.
I don't know any Stan.
Is it Stan or Stanley?
Just Stan.
It's just Stan. Stan the nice man.
Stan sticks his head out of the window and looks up towards Lori.
Mrs. Hughes?
I've never been a Mrs. Hughes.
Maybe I'm mistaken.
She means she's not Mrs. anything. She's Miss or Ms. Hughes, but she's not Mrs. Hughes.
I'm sorry. Ms. Hughes. My name is Stanley. Orno. I just wanted to meet you.
Do I know you?
No.
Then go away. Or spend the day with my nice neighbor. I don't care. She's nice sometimes.
Just be social. He's so good looking. I mean, you look like such a nice muchacho. Punquito flaco pal.
Your daughter.
My daughter?
Must be your daughter because I don't have any daughters.
Mary Lee, right? Mary Lee Applesby?
Mary Lee Applesby? What a ridiculous name. Mary Lee Hughes, maybe? She's not here.
Well, the name I have is Applesby.
That's the name her stupid boyfriend picked out for them. They must have been hitting Applebee's for late night appetizers and decided it was as good a name as any for two runaways. So stupid he couldn't even spell it right. You know him too?
No, not really.
So what do you want with Miss Mary Lee Hughes turned to Applesby? You have any news for me? She left 5 years ago and I ain't heard from her for at least 2.
Mary Lee was a very nice girl, but a little cuckoo like her mother.
Why don't you just not talk about my daughter?
Okay. I tell you what. You like cafecito? Maybe some ice cold agua?
Yes, I would like some.
Cafecito or agua?
It's 90 fucking degrees out here. Who's gonna drink coffee?
It's cafecito. It'll cool you off. You drink something hot, your insides feel cooler.
You're a piece of work.
Ugh, just like you, VA, huh? I'll be right back. I'll bring you both. You be pleasant to this nice gentleman.
Oh, at the very least.
Yasmin exits through her window. Stan approaches the stair leading up to Lori's fire escape.
Stop right there.
Sure.
Are you a cop?
No.
What do you do for a job?
I worked for the city of Los Angeles. I was a case manager for emotionally disturbed children.
Oh. Well, that would be my Mary Lee. Did you work with her, try to save her or something?
No.
Let's get this over with. Just tell me what you know about my daughter.
Not a whole lot.
Okay, so what do you want to know about my daughter?
It won't matter much, but if you want to tell me something about her, I'm here to listen.
What are you, some sort of traveling shrink?
Just Stan. Stan, a man with a heart of gold.
Is that some kind of joke?
No. Why?
She had a heart of gold. That's how I describe her to my friends, you know? It's how I explain to people how my 17-year-old daughter, barely 5 feet tall, hooked up with a strung-out monster with a guitar and an old beat-up car. I used to say, well, she's an addict now, but she has a heart of gold. She's got the sense of a snail, but she's got a heart of gold. Yes, Stan the man. She's got a heart of gold.
I believe it.
Oh, you do? Well, what a lovely sentiment, Stan. I guess you really are nice.
Did anyone else ever contact you about her?
Well, last I heard she was homeless, living with that shithead boyfriend of hers in a tent somewhere in California. She called to tell me she was pregnant. I told her to get an abortion.
Why?
She's a druggie.
Well, heroin, I know.
Yeah, and anything she and that loser could get a hold of. Any baby of theirs would be better off dead.
That's, a lot to respond to.
Yeah? Well, pretty much the truth is hard to respond to, huh? So what's your story? You got any news?
Mary Lee died.
Lori is hurt by this. She is stunned and speechless for a moment. Stan makes a move to get closer to Lori by walking halfway up the stairs, but she stops him.
Are you all right?
When?
probably not long after you talked to her about the baby, about 2 years ago.
2 years ago. It took 2 years for somebody to tell me my kid was dead. Shit, what kind of a fucking world is this? And why am I surprised? 2 years. It's almost too late to grieve over, right?
I don't think grieving has time limits.
I started grieving her 5 years ago.
I'm sorry.
It was bound to happen. I really did think she was already dead, but I was kind of hoping she wasn't, and one day she'd show up here with her 2-year-old golden-haired baby, minus the jackass, and we could start again, build a little family.
Lori sits on one of the steps and holds her head in her hands. Stan moves closer to her with a gesture indicating he wants to comfort her.
She had some complications with the pregnancy.
The baby died too?
It was early. The baby didn't develop. They call it a tubal pregnancy. It's when...
I know. You don't have to explain it to me. I know all the gory details about having babies.
She was clean. I guess she stopped using when she got pregnant.
Here we go. Lots of sugar, and don't tell me you don't take sugar in your coffee. I don't want to hear it. Oh, no. This doesn't look good.
Well, your visitor brought us some news.
Good news, I hope.
Shit and sadness ×2.
She did some real good. I want you to know that.
Something happened to Mary Lee?
She's dead.
Oh, mamita.
Well, thanks for coming in person to tell me. You could have called, but I'm glad you didn't, really.
That's right. You're better off knowing from a real human being, Mommy.
I want to hug you right now. May I?
Stan gets close to her and hugs her tightly.
Oh, Loca, I'm so sorry.
Hold me. Just hold me tight. Hold me. Really, I want you to as hard as you can.
Stan pulls Lori tight to his chest. She puts her arms around him and leans into him. She hears something and starts sobbing.
Your good heart is beating.
Well, I came here to thank you. That's Mary Lee's heart of gold.
That's her heart?
Ay, bendito.
That's her.
Truth?
Truth.
Lori says nothing but puts her palms over his heart.
That is her saying I love you, Mama. And now do you understand why I came all this way to meet you? She's still here, just a little part of her, but she still lives.
You make me cry.
Thank you, Mrs. Hughes. You made this heart.
And you made my heart hurt.
I didn't want it to hurt. I wanted to make it better somehow.
No. It's a good hurt.
I don't believe it. It's so sad. So happy, too.
Thank you.
Look at me. Look at you. Both of you. Good things happen. Wait long enough. I always say it. You are a good person. Good things will happen.
End of play. Our third play this evening is In Pursuit of Prudence by Sam Affumato. The characters are Professor Duke, a philosophy professor, traditional, loves nurturing his students even when he exhibits tough love to some. Prue, an undergraduate student in her 20s, a little uptight and an overachiever. And Nika, an undergraduate student who's arrogant, streetwise, and maybe has a little crush on Prue. It is the present, in Professor Duke's office. Professor Duke is reading through Prue's homework assignment. Prue is sitting across from him and nervously watching his every mannerism. Professor Duke puts the paper down and looks up at Prue.
Did you bring another copy of your assignment, Prue?
Yes, Professor Duke. I have it right here. I'm anxious to know what you think.
I would like to hear your thoughts first. Did you find this assignment meaningful? Did you make any discoveries?
It was meaningful, yes. But I guess I'm still discovering things. I've been trying to figure out why the world is in such a mess.
You're referencing the whole world? That's a bit much to take on, don't you think?
I guess. I want to know where I fit into the bigger picture. Like, I don't mean the whole globe per se.
So, narrow it down. What world are you talking about here?
Well, it's not exactly Aristotle's worldview, but he does make some good points. He's sort of practical, you know? I mean, he's not theoretical like some of the others. He's more day to day. I like the way he thinks.
I'm sure he'd be happy to hear you say that.
Okay, I know you're laughing at me, but I'm really serious.
I know you're serious, and I'm not laughing. Smiling, maybe.
I know the whole world is too much to think about, too much to handle, so I was thinking of narrowing it down to this country.
Our country? The whole country.
Too much? The north? The east? Well, I don't know what to narrow it down to. You have to help me find the right
answer. There are no right answers. You know that.
Sure, it's philosophy, only questions and contemplation.
And that leads to some very good conclusions and actions, maybe?
About living the good life, you mean? Doing good?
Your assignment, yes. So, what is your interpretation or definition, if you will, of living the good life?
In what context? In the world? In my world? But my world is so narrow, I don't know where to start.
We have to start somewhere, don't we? Start with Aristotle's ideas about happiness. You said you thought his ideas were practical.
Yes. I suppose if someone is happy, then they will be good or do good. You're shrugging because I know you want me to come up with my own answers, but I'm having a hard time doing that.
Why?
Well, because it's important for me to, well, like, I want to succeed. I guess I'm what you'd call
an overachiever. I get it.
Do you? Do you think it's a bad thing?
There's a knock at the door and Nico rushes in. He's out of breath.
Sorry, I know I'm a little late, but it's not my fault.
You are a lot late. Too late, Nico, and it is your fault because you have free will. If you'd wanted to be here on time, you would have made it your business to be here on time. Or at the very least, you should have canceled your appointment with me in advance. That would have been the courteous, thoughtful, adult thing to do.
I'm sorry. So, you're kicking me out?
Read the room. Do you see another student sitting here?
Yeah.
Allow me to introduce you. Nico, this is Prudence. Prudence, this...
I know him. We're in the same section.
Yeah, they're in the same section, but we don't know each other.
Great, Nico. We can now add rudeness to your list of fine attributes. Any other virtues you'd like to put on display? I'll be finished with Prue here in about 15 minutes, and I can make time for you then. Would that work for you?
Yes, that should work. Thank you.
I'm so glad I could accommodate you. Wait outside or go get some coffee or something. I'll see you in 15 minutes, okay? And be on time.
Wow.
Too harsh? It probably looked that way from your perspective.
And you didn't think so?
No. His attitude will get him nowhere fast. And I would like to think that I'm looking out for his best interests. I want all of my students to succeed.
Well, of course. I know that. But he is smart. Actually, we're in 2 sections together. Your class and political science.
Great. Let's get back to the assignment. He's wasted enough of your appointment time.
Okay. We were talking about the concept of happiness. Aristotle says that happiness is the
The phone intercom buzzes.
Sorry, excuse me. Yes, I'm with a student right now. He can't figure it out? Did he try? Okay. I'll be right there. I'm sorry, Prue. It's always an emergency. It's incompetence, that's what it really is. Look, we can either reschedule at your convenience, of course, or if you can wait around, it shouldn't take me more than a few minutes.
No, Professor, I can wait around.
Good. Thanks for your patience.
Did you scare him away?
Ha ha.
I saw him running down the hall. Did you get an A on your assignment?
I don't know. We didn't get that far. Why would you think I scared him away?
Because that's what you do. You scare people.
What? What do you mean? How do I do that?
Because you are perfect. Everything about you, everything you do must be proper and must be perfect. That can be scary to some people.
Oh, that's bull.
You can't even say bullshit, can you?
Of course I can say bullshit. If I wanted to say bullshit, I would have said bullshit. Not a problem for me.
Bullshit.
You're so mature. Now that you've exhausted your one-word vocabulary, let's drop it. You said yourself that we don't know each other, so let's keep it that way, shall we?
Ooh, see how proper. Shall we? Don't worry, we shall.
Good.
Good.
He'll be back in a few minutes. Don't you think you should wait outside?
No, there's a hard bench out there. It's more comfortable in here. I'll leave when he comes back. Now he's gonna be late for my appointment. Karma's a bitch, I love it.
What's with you two? Do you have personal issues with him?
No, nothing personal. He's a Tom. And he's always on my case because he wants me to be a Tom, and that may work for him, but it's not who I am or ever want to be.
You mean like an Uncle Tom?
Bingo, precisely.
Let me enlighten you. Professor Duke is no Uncle Tom.
Maybe not from where you sit. Scarsdale, is it?
Hardly. Riverdale, if you must know.
Oh, I stand corrected. A lower perch, but still in a privileged, gilded cage.
Professor Duke was so right about you. You need an attitude adjustment. You've got some big chip on those shoulders.
No chip. Just trying to find the truth in it all.
What truth? Whose truth?
Mine, of course. Newsflash, there is no absolute truth. Allow me to enlighten you. Aristotle believed that individuals should aim to live the good life and strive for happiness, goodness, and all those other virtues.
Which, by the way, you have none of. Yes, and hopefully those virtues would have an impact on their actions to do good for themselves and their community. Ultimately, to make the world a better place.
Whose world? Yours?
No, ours. Our world. The world. Or as much of it as we can make an impact on.
Okay, good to know. So, your aim in life is to be virtuous and to make Scarsdale and or Riverdale a better place for all, and you're pursuing your goal by getting excellent grades, following all the rules of our society to the letter because, as we all know, following the rules is always the right thing to do. So, good for you, and I do hope you make your little world better than it is.
Oh, what bullshit. And what are your plans to help your community? How do you pursue the truth? How do you plan to make the world better? Your world. By calling a brilliant professor a Tom? By disrespecting him and devaluing his accomplishments? I'm afraid we do not share a common moral conception of the virtuous life. You have so much to offer and you're throwing it away. That's why Professor Duke is so tough on you. He's trying to help you. Why can't you see that? You must be a very miserable person, and I'm glad I don't know you or your bullshit.
Look at you. What have I done? You said bullshit twice and all on your own. I've corrupted the perfect Riverdale girl. A model citizen who was bound to change the world as she experiences it in Riverdale.
If you say Riverdale with that snide tone of yours one more time, I swear
You'll what?
I'll be very upset.
That's not a bad thing. Your whole demeanor changes when you're upset. You loosen up. You look cute when you're upset. It suits you.
I don't know how to respond to that.
You could smile and enjoy the experience. You could say thank you. That would be the ethical and adult thing to do.
You are so full of it.
Full of what?
Full of shit.
Well now, welcome to my world.
And where would that be?
The Bronx, baby. A world you know nothing about.
You're kidding me, right? You do know that Riverdale is in the Bronx?
Geographically, it is in the Bronx. But it's worlds apart. You live in a foreign country as far as I'm concerned.
You need to get out more. You have a very narrow view.
And so do you. Except your view is a lot nicer than mine. I know what I experience on a daily basis, and trust me, it is not what you experience.
Well, I'm sorry. You know what puzzles me about you? In poli-sci class, you were the model student. Always engaged, you know your politics, you ace all the exams. Well, you're near perfect. But you're just the opposite in this class.
I feel a question coming on.
Why did you take philosophy? It's not your major, and it's an elective.
It fit into my schedule. And I knew you were taking it. I'm just messing with you.
You're unnerving.
Thank you. And you're right about me in politics. I'm trying to understand why there are no ethics when it comes to our government. Yes, there are a few idealists, but they don't really have the power to make changes. I don't think that Aristotle's conception of politics and ethics relates to our society or any modern society. It's an exercise in bullshit.
You really have to enrich your vocabulary. We can try to work together to achieve the greater good for all. Why not?
Because we don't share the same experiences. We don't have a common language. Don't you think we make moral judgments based on our own feelings and attitudes? We're too diverse, and we celebrate our diversity, our different moral backgrounds. So how can we achieve a common moral compass? Like you said, most of us don't get out much. We're stuck in our own spheres. That's why our country's in such a mess. There's no debate, and we talk past each other. The government is disconnected, and we, the people, are disconnected too.
Wow, that's depressing. So what do we do? Nothing?
No, I didn't say that. We can start in our own house and work our way out. We can form friendships with like-minded people, and maybe then we extend ourselves and make new friends from other little spheres.
You mean we get out more? Sounds like a plan.
Prue gathers her belongings and gets up.
Where are you going?
I think you and the professor have a lot to talk about. So please tell him that I couldn't wait, and I'll call him to reschedule.
Okay, I'll tell him. Oh, Prue, I hear there are some really nice views of the Hudson in Riverdale.
There are some really nice views I can show you, Nico. And you don't need a passport to get there. See you in class.
Yeah, you will.
End of play. Next we have The Star Road by Barbara Blattner. Our characters are three astronauts. Anya, commander of the space pod. Gran, a space cowboy type. And Mika, an astronaut who is anxious and reactive. The setting is the Leader Galaxy, near nameless planet 86-9. A small outer space pod, big enough for three people if they sit close together, hovering over the planet. It is late afternoon, not far from sunset.
How long do we wait?
Till we get the signal, moron.
They're a little late.
Hovering over a planet in this tiny pod unnerves me.
We dropped from the big ship only an hour ago.
I want to land. I'm hungry.
Pick your nose.
He always kids. You're a real kidder, aren't you?
You should know from 3 years with me on the Star Road, I am not a kidder. I commanded spaceships before you could say star.
You haven't commanded it for a decade, Gran. Because you pick fights with everybody you fly with, including innocent robots.
Shut up, little boy.
Stop! We'll have a break from each other when we land, thank God. Train your minds on landing on nameless planet 86-9, the final planet in the Leader Galaxy.
Where we will plant our flag and achieve for our people complete dominance over the Leader Galaxy. Yee-haw!
And name nameless planet 86-9 like we've named countless other planets.
Yeah, how about that planet that oozed goo you wanted to name Planet Pustule?
Well, luckily I had a cowboy poet on board to help me set things straight.
Astronauts! When we're on Big Ship, I can block out your bickering. This pod is much too small for it.
Yeah, Micah, we want to complete this endless mission, don't we?
Yeah, Gran, we do.
We want to fly home.
At which point, I'll jump right on the Area Galaxy mission and lasso planets till I croak.
Do you ever stop?
Stop for what?
I'll meet my little son. He'll be 5 months old when I get home. We're going to raise him together, and I'm going to quit this Star Road, and I can't wait.
Probably when I get home, I'll bury my mother.
Oh, Anya.
She's very old.
Are you close to her?
Ready your image dilators. Scout the landing station below.
Why are we taking so long to land?
I have no information. If you're hungry, get the food item.
Mika gets a bag from under the seat.
What did Robot Manny pack for our final treat before our final landing?
He opens the bag of food, showing licorice.
Don't throw up, it'll float. I hate licorice.
Me too. I'll wait till we land to eat.
What's with Manny's brain? He's programmed to know we hate black licorice, right? Yeah, maybe it's got superfood nutrients in it and all that, but...
Manny is an extreme mind robot. His brain was built to do one thing and one thing only.
To pick out and pack food for sorry-ass astronauts on patriotic missions. That's it. That's all Manny does. That's all Manny can do.
Manny with the stupid smile, which is backed by another stupid smile.
Imagine having a brain that does just one thing for all eternity. That's not my brain.
That's certainly not my brain.
Let Manny be stuck at home in the storage room forever. Manny screwed up my snack, and I'm starving. And what's holding us up here? It's getting late. Planet 86-9 is getting ready to go down.
Punch out Manny's big, stupid smile and buck teeth when you get home, eh? Hey, on your feet, champ. Whack Manny's motherboard. Punch out his bulbs and his lights.
Why not appreciate Manny's programming? Limitations make robot masters in their assigned careers. Be thankful our minds have no limits.
Enter Aristotle.
Can it, Mr. Bud Light?
But Mika, Anya's brain is so big, it doesn't even fit in this pod.
My hysterical, compassionate mind.
My deeply organized mind.
And my poetic mind are beautiful as this Leader Galaxy where the Star Road has led us. Leader, as in German songs.
Where our minds sing songs.
Endless cowboy song of the sons I sing.
We've made robots with minds way smarter than Manny's, who will feed us a banquet when we land. When we land. When will that be, Anya?
Seriously, Anya, how long do we wait for the signal before we go back up to the big ship?
The signal's so late, 86-9's sun is definitely setting.
We wait.
Look! It's bloody red!
We wait till they signal with the bell and send landing directives. We finish our conquest of the galaxy.
That is way too long to wait with Manny's black licorice. I am weak with hunger.
What stops us from sending a signal first?
Scan with your image dilators. See anything down there? Can you see the station? Is it too cloudy?
The big clouds moving. I see the roof of the station in the sun.
Do you see any movement down there?
I see the landing platform.
You see the landing platform? 86-9 robots on the ground waiting for us?
The sun's in my eyes. Hey!
What is it? You're scaring me.
What's that?
What's that what?
What's that flag?
Beg your pardon.
Let the cloud pass. There's a flag waving down there in the wind.
Our cohorts mapped 86.9's light waves last year. Another pod of ours must have planted our flag before us.
But those aren't our colors.
That's not our flag.
Impossible.
Don't go into denial, Anya. Don't do it.
Can we just land? I just want to land.
We can't land until we see what the flag is.
Descend 200 meters straight. Oh, the sun's tricking me. God in heavens, what's that flag?
Anya is paralyzed with shock and fear.
There's a letter on it.
In brutish stripes.
A big letter in the center.
What letter is that?
Holy fuck, I can't quite see.
Is it a friendly or hostile flag? That's the question. Right, Gran? We can't land. Are we fucked? Anya!
It's too late to rise to the ship.
They stare down at the mysterious flag. Anxiety grows. Anya grabs a licorice piece, eats it desperately, not thinking. Mika, then Gran grab licorice and also eat without thinking. Panicked, they look, they chew.
Hold on. Who's that? Holy shit!
Look at the teeth. The wacky smile. Jesus Christ! Is it?
It's fucking Manny!
Manny!
Manny?
The idiot robot! It's Manny, all right.
Smiling his dumb smile. What's he doing here? How did he get here?
That can't be Manny. He's permanently stationed at home.
Wake up, Anya. It's Manny.
Only advanced technology could bring him here. Technology far beyond our...
Limited mind.
I want my mother.
But he's a single function robot who can't do anything but give us licorice. Will I ever meet my son?
He just keeps smiling.
He's waving. He's waving at us. Should we land?
Look behind him.
An army of robots.
Their swords
gleam
in the sun.
Hold the fucking phone. Something's happening in my head.
Me too.
Is it from the licorice?
There's something with the licorice. This licorice, I swear, is doing something to my mind.
The licorice Manny packed for us.
It's all coming clear. It's all coming clear. Never in my life have I felt such a deep clarity of mind.
No kidding.
Such single focus from eating black licorice.
Compatriots, I suddenly see. Manny's no one-trick robot. Manny is brilliant.
Manny's a genius.
The letter on the flag, it's an M. That's Manny's flag.
It's waving in the wind, beckoning to us.
M is for Manny.
And for marvelous, simply marvelous.
Manny's signaling us to land.
Descend and come face to face with Uber robot Manny.
They descend.
We don't even have to name Nameless Planet 86.9. It's Manny's planet.
Manny's planet it is. Hail Manny, we will follow you to the end.
My mind craves to do one thing only. Follow Manny.
Hail Robot Supreme. Hail Manny!
Mind supreme!
Hail Manny!
Behind him!
His impressively huge army of robots.
Every one of their beautiful banners have an M on them.
Wow, Manny's minions.
They're coming to greet us.
Their swords gleaming in the sun.
They go forward toward Manny. End of play.
The next play is Cupcakes by Jennifer O'Grady. Characters are Eleanor, 40 plus, well dressed, Dana, 30s, less well dressed, and Corinne and Lily, two supermarket cashiers. Daytime, a supermarket during a lull. We see two checkout counters. At one counter, Eleanor waits. She has a lot of high-end grocery items, such as coffee beans, organic milk, specialty juices, cheeses, etc. She is waiting for the cashier, Corinne, to return. Eleanor has a view of the other counter where Lily works. Dana, a customer, is standing at Lily's counter with her groceries, mostly family basics, maybe kids' cereals, breads, milk, etc., all of which are off-brand, on sale, or otherwise inexpensive. A box of tampons is also there. Dana holds a plastic container in which 3 decorated cupcakes are visible. At Rise, Eleanor is waiting. Lily is scanning Dana's groceries, and Dana is speaking to her 10-year-old daughter who is just off stage.
I know. I'm so proud of you. As soon as we get home, we'll have these cupcakes. Yes, I promised you, didn't I? Look, right now, I need you to take Claire and Leo to the car. And Izzy, hold their hands and remember to look both ways when crossing the parking lot. Don't roll your eyes, please. I know you're 10, but I'm your mother and I'm supposed to tell you this. Listen to your sister, guys. I'll just be a few minutes.
The children have left the store. Lily has finished scanning Dana's groceries.
113. Some prices just went up. 113 even.
Oh,
Dana looks at her groceries. She removes an item or two.
And without these?
$109.14.
Dana removes something else.
Okay, and now?
$105.15.
It's still too much. Dana stands there trying to decide what else to remove. Eleanor is watching her. Corinne enters with a box of chocolates and goes to her register.
Sorry that took so long. It's $15.99.
Corinne begins scanning Eleanor's groceries. Dana is still calculating, trying to decide.
Still cold out there?
Mm-hmm.
Guess I should be glad I'm in here.
Ready to pay?
This time of year, being indoors anywhere is a good thing.
So will it be cash or...
Dana quickly grabs one or more items and puts them aside.
What is it now?
$310.94, please.
Eleanor takes out a credit card and then pays.
$98.12.
Dana, relieved, nods and then reaches for her wallet.
Wait, what about those?
Lily indicates the cupcakes. Dana had forgotten them. They haven't yet been scanned. Dana looks at them, then she looks at her other groceries.
You want these chocolates in a separate bag?
What?
Separate bag.
Oh.
Corinne bags Eleanor's groceries, which takes some time. Dana is still calculating, trying to decide.
So cash or...
I'm sorry, but can you remove the...
But she isn't sure what. Everything else is necessary. A long moment while she struggles internally, then she puts aside the cupcakes.
We'll skip these.
No, don't. I'm happy to buy them for you.
Corinne and Lily look away. Corinne continues bagging Eleanor's groceries. Lily bags Dana's items.
Do I know you?
No, but...
I don't, do I? So please don't offer to do something for me when I don't even know who you are.
Fine, I'm sorry I mentioned it.
Dana takes out cash and then hands it to Lily, who puts it in her register, then hands her some change. The cupcakes remain on the counter. Corinne is still bagging Eleanor's groceries.
Wow.
Dana Cosgrove.
Oh, you know her?
Just know who she is. Husband died of a brain tumor a couple of years ago.
Well, I guess that explains her rudeness.
If I couldn't feed my kids or give them a cupcake now and then...
Well, I was just trying to help.
We get others like her. Can't help everyone. That's what my mom says.
I wanted to help her.
Lady down the street has 5 kids. What can we do? Gotta feed ourselves.
She could have taken them, couldn't she? They were for her children.
Some folks have to choose cupcakes or their pride. If she doesn't have her pride, how can she keep going?
Well, all I know is I've never done that before, and I will certainly never do it again.
Dana re-enters. She has clearly been crying, but is doing her best not to show this or look at them. She carries the box of tampons and brings it to Lily.
Could I return these and can you give me the cupcakes back instead?
Lily takes the tampons, checks the prices on both items, then hands the cupcakes to Dana. Dana starts to go.
Wait. Here's the difference.
Dana takes the change and then exits with the cupcakes. Eleanor's groceries are all bagged.
Well, she made the right choice.
You think?
They were for her children. Surely she can get tampons somewhere else. Someone around here must hand them out for free.
Corinne and Lily look away and say nothing. Eleanor's cell phone rings.
Eleanor Randall? Oh, hi, I'm all done. Are you? Great, I'll see you out there. I've parked the Mercedes in row 4.
Eleanor takes her groceries, nods her thanks to Corinne, and then exits.
You know what, Corinne?
What, Lily?
I fucking hate cupcakes.
Welcome to these United States.
End of play. Our last play this evening is 3 Visits by Lisa DeAngelis. The play takes place in a marriage counselor's office. Susan Mitchell is the counselor. Her clients are an older married couple, Laura and Jim. Both are in their 60s and have been married for many years.
I don't really know where to start, Dr. Mitchell.
Oh, I don't have my doctoral degree. I have my LMFT.
Well, I've never really understood acronyms.
Well, why don't you just call me Susan?
Okay. Susan, I'm 65 years old.
Okay.
I've always believed in therapy, but I never felt I could afford it until now. You see, I'm on Medicare, and as fate would have it, you accept Medicare, which is ironic.
How is it ironic?
That I should get myself together mentally now when I only have a little time left.
Are you ill?
Not that I know of.
Oh, then what do you mean you only have a little time left?
I could die tomorrow. And this whole afternoon will be a waste of your counseling and my copay.
Oh. Or you could live another 30 years.
Oh, I certainly hope not. My motto has always been 80 and outie.
Well, that's catchy.
Well, thank you.
But that would still give you 15 more years.
Therein lies the rub. I've begun to feel time as so pointedly and poignantly lately. Everything has an intensity, an immediacy about it. How do I make the most of my time left? Post more pictures of the grandchildren? Join the Peace Corps? Or just do my roots?
You're speaking of your hair? You dye it?
I color it. Do you have a problem with that?
No, it just seems a lot of time invested for little return.
Well, are you being judgmental?
A little.
Nora Ephron said, the reason 60 doesn't look the way it used to is not because of feminism or better living through exercise. It's because of hair dye.
I did not know that.
I look at photos of my grandmother at 50. She looks like she's 80. And it's her hair's fault. Gray with one of those awful spit curl perms they used to inflict on women of a certain age. Thank God for Eugene Schroller.
Who's that?
He invented hair color. I Googled it. I love Google. It's better than penicillin or sliced bread. How much time is left?
Are you speaking literally or figuratively?
You're kind of a smart ass, Susan. I like that. But aren't you therapists supposed to say something to help the client get started?
All right. What brings you here today?
Okay. I guess it's, well, ever since he retired, it just basically, what I want to know is, what I want you to teach me is how to stand my husband.
Stand.
Stand. Endure. Forbear. Tolerate.
I can't do that.
Then what can you do?
Well, support you in whatever decision you make.
Well, that's not helpful.
Granted, sometimes my work doesn't feel particularly helpful. Makes me think about going back to making hoagies at Wawa like I did when I was in college. That was a real benefit to humanity.
True. Everyone likes a good hoagie. I guess I'm asking too much. I don't even know myself what I want. I just know what I don't want. I don't want to leave him. I don't want to recite a litany of complaints. I don't want to be miserable in the short time I have left.
Are you sure you're not dying?
As sure as anyone can be. It's just that at 65, the die is cast. The ship has sailed. There's no use even pretending you could start over with someone else. He might be even worse.
What, is that what you want? To start over with someone else?
Oh, God, no. I wouldn't have the energy, not even with vitamins.
So?
So I'm constantly running these equations in my head.
You've lost me.
Yeah, well, it's a numbers game. My granddaughter will graduate from college in 10 years. 10 plus 65 is 75. Will I be alive to see her graduate? And what if she doesn't have children for another 20 years? That would make me 85 and I'll probably be dead. And that's just the easy numbers divisible by 5. How old will I be in 27 years? I don't know. The math gets harder and the likelihood of being alive increasingly diminishes. You know, only 4.7% of the people survive to be 90. I Googled it.
How is that personally relevant to you?
Because I'm rapidly running out of comforting thoughts. One day something, something, or then I'll something, something, you know. That used to do the trick, but now...
If you're searching for a cure for existential angst, there isn't one.
Oh, yes, there is. I Googled it. Google says there are 7 steps. The 7th being try therapy. And here I am.
I wonder what Alexa would say.
Well, I've asked her. She says verbatim, I don't know that one. If you ask what the meaning of life is, if you ask her that, she'll quote Eleanor Roosevelt.
Well, that's interesting. But back to your husband.
Oh, Susan, how can he be so wonderful and so horrible? I mean, how can I love him and hate him with equal ardor?
It's because marriage is more like Maine than California. The 2 weeks of summer you get in Maine are great, but the blizzards are hell. You're snowed in for weeks hoping for spring, and spring never comes before July, which is hard to enjoy because you know if spring is here, can winter be far behind? And on it goes until death, which makes some people want to die and get it over with, while others feel oddly comforted.
Are you from Maine or California?
Neither. What feeling does my explanation inspire in you? Desire for death or comfort?
I'm suddenly craving a Wawa hoagie.
Me too. Do you think they deliver?
So, what did my wife say about me?
Oh, right now, Jim, I'm more interested in what you have to say about her and yourself and your marriage.
I hate this.
Oh, yes, I get that.
It's a waste of time.
Well, that's entirely up to you.
But I promised Laura I'd come. I'm a man of my word.
Why do you think Laura wanted you both to start therapy?
She's been unhappy.
Oh, for how long would you say?
Oh, I don't know. From the womb. Just never been a happy person.
What about you? Are you happy?
Of course not. Who's happy nowadays? But it's never been a problem for me. I never expected to be happy. Laura did, and now that she's not, she blames me. She says she can't be happy when I'm angry all the time.
Are you angry all the time?
Of course I am. But it's not directed at Laura. She's been a decent wife and a great mother.
Then what are you angry at?
I don't know. Life hasn't turned out the way I thought it would.
How so?
Oh, I thought it'd be more successful at this point. I thought I'd retire with more money. But I have 4 daughters. We have 4 daughters, 4 married daughters. And if you think paying for 4 weddings won't bankrupt a man, then you don't know squat. And we'd both rather be dead than ever ask our kids for money.
Oh, so you're both unhappy?
Yes. But for different reasons. I feel like Laura blames me for everything. I think she resents it we don't have enough money to be going on cruises all the time like her friends. Sometimes I think she just doesn't like being 65. You know, Laura was quite a dish back in the day, and now she says she doesn't like looking in the mirror. I tell her she'll always be beautiful to me, but she don't give a rat's ass what I think. She wants to be beautiful in her own eyes, and she's not. But how is that my fault? I mean, I don't blame her that I'm losing my hair and have prostate trouble.
You're right. That isn't fair.
Don't get me wrong. I love my wife. She just says she never feels that. And I wish I could be the kind of guy who read poetry to her or brought home roses, but I'm not. I don't even like saying, I love you. Laura says it sounds begrudging when I say it. But I don't think you should have to say it. It should be understood. I mean, does she think I stayed with her for 45 years because I didn't love her?
I think that can happen sometimes. People just decide to stay together because it seems like too much trouble to separate.
Part of the reason Laura insisted we come here is that her lady friend, who's been married as long as we have, just divorced her husband and moved into a little government-subsidized apartment. And she's got cancer. Ugh, cancer. But she told Laura that even if she only had 6 months to live, she wanted to live it in peace and not with her god-awful husband. I don't think I'm god-awful. Did Laura say I was?
How would you like Laura to think of you?
I don't know. As a good husband, as a hard worker, even if I didn't wind up as successful as I always thought I'd be. As a faithful husband, whatever my sins, I never chased women or drank or gambled. I never raised my hand to her or the kids. Even when getting the strap out was considered part of being a father, I just never did it. It just never seemed right to me to hit somebody littler than you who couldn't get away.
Well, those sound like all good qualities in a husband and father.
Yeah, right? Only those things don't count anymore. It's got to be something dramatic, like the Hallmark Channel. I just don't know how to be like that. And I'm too old to change now.
Change is hard.
My mother and father were married at 17. They died within days of each other at 94, and I doubt they ever said they loved each other. I'd bet the ranch it just never came up. There were 7 of us kids. Did they love us? Well, they fed us, so they must have. Sure, my old man gave us a beating every so often. Didn't do us any harm, though. And it was only when we forgot to do some chore. We had a farm, and failing to do your part could be the difference between eating and starving. The old man came from a long line of farmers. He wanted to be an engineer. He was the smartest one in his family, but my grandfather would have none of it. He said, "Get off your high horse and go slop the hogs." I think that's the real reason he beat us. Not for any philosophy of parenting, just frustration. Because he was still slopping hogs when he really wanted to be building bridges. Anyway, I guess we all do the best we can with what we've got to work with.
Okay, well, time's up.
Yeah.
I think I understand the relationship and how I can help you. I'll see you next week. I've reached a conclusion about the state of your marriage.
You have?
Yeah. If they hauled me into court right now, I would tell the judge unequivocally that Laura has borderline personality disorder and Jim is a malignant narcissist.
I don't even know what that means. But I know it's bad. And if it's bad, that is not Laura. Why, this woman once turned down a chance her cousin got her to be an extra in the movie Rocky because she wouldn't be home in time to meet the girls when they got off the school bus.
Well, I know what malignant narcissist means, and Jim's most definitely not one. I'll have you know this man drove a beer truck every Christmas season so the girls could get 10 presents each. That's 40 presents. He used to get an orange in his sock when he was a boy if he was lucky. And for years he got up at 5 a.m. to deliver newspapers in addition to his regular job just so the girls could go to private school. He paid for 4 weddings and was too proud to take money from the groom's parents even when they offered it.
But he's a highly insensitive, not very responsive to your feelings, and consistently fails to demonstrate his own. And let's face it, Laura, you're no prize bag either. You have the delusion about the perfect man who can and must prove himself worthy of you, as well as proving your own worth to yourself. I'm afraid my best advice is that you file for divorce immediately. In all my years of practice, I have never seen a couple less compatible than the two of you.
That is nonsense. We both like dogs, right? And we like and
potato chips.
Yeah.
Well, that's my final word. You'll get my bill in the mail.
Oh, the nerve.
You see? I knew it. This therapy thing is claptrap. Just a way to rip off Medicare.
Said it, Jim.
There's a Dunkin' Donuts down the block. Let's go get coffee and crawler so this wasn't a total waste of time. And gas.
Yeah.
Another marriage saved.
Alrighty, folks, can I have the playwrights come on up and join us for a quick post-show discussion? If you are a playwright who's here tonight, come on up and join us. We also have payment for you as well, so playwrights, please come on up.
Coming out of your mouth. Looking at him going. That's all right. He just kept nodding and nodding. Yeah. Look at his narcissist.
Alright, everybody, let's just go down the line. Let's introduce ourselves as a playwright, say what play that we were working on, and then say a little bit about what inspired that play. So, Alexis, take us away.
Hi, my name is Alexis Slichka. I wrote the first one, Sister Wives. And what inspired me for that is, so I'm part of a playwriting group, and we were kind of just messing around, talking about sort of like things going on in our families, things going on in our lives, and the sort of thing about grandparents and parents and what they're going through kind of kept coming up. So that's what I was working with.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I'm Sam Affamato. My play was In Pursuit of Prudence. It was the third play. What inspired me was the fact that I worked with a playwriting group, and they gave every playwright a prompt. and I had never worked that way before. It was a little frightening, and you had 4.5 days to write based on the prompt. The prompt for Prudence was, what the world needs now, ... And so I always like to work starting from characters and location. So I put them in the college professor's office, and the rest just happened.
Lisa DeAngelis, 3 visits, and I guess it was just getting older and starting therapy.
I'm Vida Morales, and I did the second play, the In Passing, about the heart transplant. And I'm always looking for a moment where your life can turn, completely change in just, in this case, 10 minutes, right? And what kinds of situations do we find ourselves in where that actually happens? It's rare, and so they're very special, I think, those moments. And that's one of the ideas I came up with.
I'm Barbara Blattner, and I wrote the 4th play, the Space Pod play. I am connected to a theater called New Circle in New York, and they had a little festival of short plays, and everyone got the prompt of writing a play set in a waiting room. And then the second prompt for me was black licorice. So I wanted to not set it in a waiting room kind of on Earth. So and I had to figure out how to use the black licorice and make it operate in the, turn the story. So it was fun.
Thank you.
I love black
I'm glad you didn't look like it.
So let's open this up to you folks. Do you have any questions for our playwrights about what you just saw, what their process was? Any curiosities that you found bubbling up while you were watching any of this? Any thoughts? Any questions for the playwrights? Yeah, right ahead in the back.
When you're writing these multiple characters, how is it that you capture these distinct voices? Do you have something in mind for them when you start, or do you sort of let it evolve as you write?
Well, I'll start.
Yeah. What do we think?
I always try to plot out characters. I have the characters, and once I put them in motion, they write the play themselves. That's how I feel. I don't know.
I agree with that. Yeah, you know who the characters are. You really should at least know the physical, just whatever superficial thing you want. But when they start talking, they take over. It is kind of a magical thing. Doesn't always work that way, but most of the time it does. And most of the writing is the rewriting after you get whatever it is they blabbed about for an hour or 2 or 10 minutes. Then you start kind of shaping it. So the real writing is, to me, rewriting. And it's not as much fun as the original thing because they do it themselves.
So yeah, can I jump on the tailcoat to that? So the voices, it sounded like you have the voices and then you kind of shape them into a story. But do you not do like a story arc or have like a structure and then put the voices in there, or it's the other way around? How does that work? Okay.
Sorry. I don't. I very similarly to that. It's very similar to how you're like a kid playing with like dolls or stuffed animals or something. You're making it up as you go, and you're just seeing how these different personality types, different components kind of interact with each other, and then kind of polish the story. You see like the story from there. For me.
Gotcha.
I always start with a story, and then I know the characters because of the story, and then put them in motion, and then they tell the story basically.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to not start with stories, and that was a problem. That was a real problem. So I finally learned to, especially in a short play, to kind of decide roughly beginning, middle, and end, and then I had a place to write to. And the characters, especially in a short play, for me, I tried to make them very different and think about where their minds were on that journey in space and distinguish them that way.
Any questions? Yes, please, in the back.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear from each writer what draft number was the script that was read out loud, and when did you start writing this script? Yeah.
So I started the script last year, like for my playwriting group. I don't have like, draft 1, draft 2, draft 3, because I'm just continuously editing the same thing. So on paper it's probably like draft 3, but really it's probably like 26 or something like that. Because I don't sort of like count it out like that.
Well, I edit as I go along, so I don't really have one draft and then second, third. But in this particular case with Prudence, I had 4 days to do it. So it wasn't a draft at all. It was, there it is, do it. And it was in 2022 when I wrote it with the group, and the group read it, well, it was during COVID actually. And so they did it on Zoom. So I never actually saw it live.
Nice.
So thanks, guys.
I wrote it last summer, and I guess there was about 3 drafts.
This particular play, I wrote very quickly, and I don't think there was a second draft to it. It just wrote itself.
Nice. And lastly, on the end.
Yeah, I wrote it in the spring, last spring, and so I did a draft, and then I also had to write it very fast in 48 hours and take it into actors and a director in the rehearsal process. And it was a real horrible mess. The first, when I took it in and the actors didn't realize what's going on. So I had to really get it much more in shape for the next rehearsal. And there was something about doing it really fast that was really helpful. And I think this is probably maybe the 8th draft.
Nice.
All right. Yes, please, right here.
As far as your reflection right now, like what's your takeaway based on how this performance went for you guys? Like, in other words, are you content with what you saw? Are there changes? What would the changes be? Maybe you need to think about it more. What's your gut level reaction?
I loved it. Fran was great, and Laura was great, but Steve made me cry, which is very hard to do.
The actors were fantastic, all of you, and thank you very, very much.
Very professional.
Yeah, I loved what you guys did. I felt like you went for it, and it showed. I think that maybe one of the characters, the cowboy space guy, not based on the acting at all, but maybe could show something else about himself. That's the only thought that I had.
All right, we're going to do a couple more questions and then we're going to wrap up. So yes, please, in the back.
So I loved all 5 plays. It was amazing. You guys are emerging playwrights. So have any of your plays been on stage in some theater somewhere before?
Have your plays been on stage somewhere before?
No?
For me, no. This is my first ever sort of like stage.
Were you talking about the play tonight or any play?
Any play. Any play you
Yeah,
ever
well, I've been producing and directing my own since many people don't do it. So I'm one of those self-producers. And I'm in New York City and I produce, direct. I don't act in them. I save that for real actors. And I do mostly festivals in New York City. There are a lot of short play festivals. I've written 7 full-length plays, but I find practically speaking, nobody reads your full-length plays. They'll take a 5 or 10-page sample, and maybe you'll never hear from them again. Thank you. But a 10-minute play, they will read. So you get feedback, even if they don't do it, it's worth it. So I've been focusing now on 10-minute plays.
I've had some modest productions in New York. Small.
I've had, just last week, in a festival in New York, a play was produced. I've had staged readings. We share a common connection at the Centenary Stage Company. There's a women's playwrights competition, and 3 of my plays were read there, and you had one how long ago? Recently, right?
It was 23 or 2. I think it was 22.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's a lovely play too about.
Yeah, I think.
Very Elizabethan, right?
Yeah.
The fool, the Queen's fool.
Yeah, yeah, I've had a lot of short plays done and had a radio play done and some full lengths. Very hard to get full lengths produced well, so chugging along.
It costs a lot of money. And for playwrights now, a lot of times we have to pay our actors if we want it done. So there might be a producer, there might be somebody who organizes a festival, but they're still looking for the playwrights to help pay the actors, and it's difficult, especially as a writer. Now, if you have more than 3 characters in a play, it's almost like forget about it. Nobody's going to do it. And so these short plays are, very accommodating to that because generally they're small casts, right? Oftentimes, if we want to, different theaters solicit scripts, but sometimes we have to pay a fee in order for them to consider the script. And then again, there's no guarantee they'll get past page 10, so you say emerging, and I said to somebody last week in New York, I said, I have been emerging for 30 something years. So I thank Phillipsville.
Yes, please, in the back.
Are you sitting in order of the plays? And if not,
No.
could you tell us who did what?
Could we go down the line and just say?
Yes. Alexis, Sister Wives, the first one.
Pursuit of Prudence, the third one.
3 Visits, the last one.
In Passing, which was the second one.
And I did the Star Road, which was the 4th one.
Thank you.
There's one missing, right?
All right, let's do,
Last
these are the last 2 questions, but yes, go right ahead.
So for you guys who are legitimate playwrights, how about for the ones out there who are just trying to write stuff down and get it started? What would you say to them? Because you go through that stage of like, oh my God, I'm writing something that looks good. Like, oh, I'm no good. I can't do this anymore. Stop. Why am I even doing this? Why do I think I could do this? And then you go, okay, you go back to a little bit more. What would you say to them?
Persevere.
You're gonna know you have to do it. Like it's a vocation. It's like something you have to do. Just do it. I have colleagues who write plays and they say, how do you write so much? I said, I consider it a job. You go to work, you're 5 hours at work. Well, you're gonna spend 5 hours writing. I mean, it's a job. But keep going. If you have a story to tell it.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I also said that write something, like write a few pages, write 10 pages, and then go find some actor friends to read it for you, and you will build alliances that way. And I think that theater wonderful for many reasons, but one of the reasons is that you work with other people. Even if it's very small scale, it's really a wonderful thing to do.
And you have the perfect group here, right? All these actors who are great actors.
And we're not gonna charge you very much.
No. You already gave me a check. So no, you have it here, and local theater is more important than the big theaters in New York. Forget about it. I mean, it's local. It's telling local stories, right? Our stories, your stories. Yeah. My friends are very careful not to tell any stories in my presence.
All right, we had one final question right back there.
Part of it's already been answered, but I've done a number of the emerging, out of the 7, I think I've done about 4 of them, or 5. And I'm always curious whether or not the playwrights, some of you have already said that this is not the first time you've seen your play acted or read. I'm curious if when you see it, if the laughs, especially for Alexis, this is your first time, was it performed, did it read to the audience the way you hoped that it would?
Yes, I am so glad that you guys laughed. In my playwriting, my playwriting group's over Zoom, so it's harder to kind of gauge audience reaction that way. So it was really nice to kind of hear everything hit in the way that I intended. So
it did.
Yes.
It did. Okay.
Yeah.
For everyone else too, and for from those that have had it done before, was it different? Yes.
Well, it's always different, but it doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's different. And that's kind of interesting for the playwright because it's like, oh, I never thought of that. Oh, I thought the audience would laugh here. They didn't, but they were very intent in watching. I mean, the best idea you get is when you watch your audience watching your play. Whether it's a reading, a stage reading, or a small production, you can learn a lot about your play by your audience's reaction. You better watch it. No, it's true. And the other thing is that a writer, even if you're a first-time writer, playwriting is different than other kinds of writing in that it's meant to be on the stage. You have to hear it. You can't keep reading it over and over again. After a while, it's like, okay, I know how everybody sounds, I know what everybody's going to do, but I really don't until actors get it and take it to another level. They breathe the life in the blueprint you put on the page. So really, in order to enjoy your own plays, you have to see them and hear them. You can't just look at them in
With an audience, because I will say, when we rehearsed my husband just said to me, because I was like, yeah, I think, the audience will like it. He said, it was really good. I said, the audience, so kudos to all of you. Really, we were expecting some laughter, but not to the extent, and I realize you're all friends, but it's really.
All right, so we are going, you guys are going to stay up here for a second. We are going to be joined by Victoria Weinberg, who's going to speak to us, to you guys about producing a new play development.
I feel a little bit like a villain now after, but I am a producer in New York, the UK, and Australia. But I do focus primarily during my career in new work. So I've done maybe 1 or 2 revivals in my career, but I really focus on new work. And one of the things that's really important to me is demystifying the producerial process to playwrights and actors, because I was an actor. I was never a playwright, I was never a director. Please don't make me do that. But what's really important, I think, especially where I sit in commercial theater, which really is, it's like being the mini CEO every single time you start a new project. You're really sitting at the intersection between investment and creative, which is a really icky place to be. And so what's really important to me is demystifying that process for the creatives that I work with. Because a lot of times producers can be seen based on the movie The Producers, which sometimes it's like that. But most of the time it isn't. And I think the the generation of producers that I work with on Broadway is we're really trying to make it so playwrights and directors and actors have more agency. Because I recognize that it's really, really scary to have done what any of you just did tonight. To hear the words that you wrote out loud, to feel like you've been emerging for 30 years, when you're not. Everyone is a legitimate professional in this room, and I think it's really important to understand that most of the time producers have your best interest, and we take an enormous risk financially, especially in the beginning with new work, because it's like I try to think of it like investing in a medical, like a robot arm or a Series A, or things that that other people would invest in, but recognizing that you're not going to see that thing for 8 years. A Broadway show takes 5 to 10 years to get up. Half the time they don't happen. But the magical thing about being part of the process in the beginning is really getting to see something grow, and that's what excites me the most. Is finding a playwright that I'm the most excited by. And the work that I do comes from many different places. I see things in festivals. I want you to know that everyone in my office reads everything that comes through. Even if it is the first 10 to 15 pages. And I don't think I've ever charged anybody to send something to me, but I'm horrified that exists. But I can realize what a scary and lonely process it can be as a playwright and as an actor. So I'm really glad and I'm really thankful to be here tonight to answer any questions, especially because short plays are not full-length plays. And you've all talked about how hard it is to get a full-length play up. I mean, a minimum on Broadway now is $5 million to put anything up, just walking in the door. And that isn't even including everything you did to develop it before then. So that's not for profits, that's going overseas, that's, doing 15 readings. You've all done the rewrite process. And then we come in and, make your lives slightly miserable. But it's all for the good of supporting regional theaters and experiences like this. And I think that short plays are a wonderful way to get to the full length if you feel like you can be married to these characters for the next however long. And yeah, so I love emerging writers and non-emerging writers and new work, and I think that we're really in a wonderful, exciting place in the theater where after the pandemic we're really craving community. I think it's really important to keep digging in, and this way the work that's being done here is really important because we're fighting with the desire to not leave our homes. I don't want to go anywhere some of the time. But we're lucky to live in New York and to have, or to live here and to have so much culture. And I think that theater has to be invested in because we're all kind of making a pact when we walk in this room to all, in this case, face the same way. But we're all in a community experience all the time, and that's something that should be cherished. And I think that this is why this work is really important, because any one of these plays could be a full length and end up on Broadway, or in the UK or in Australia, which is very far away. But so I wanted to sort of open it up to any questions that you have on the producerial process. I promise to be as transparent as I can. But I'm just really excited to hear any questions that you have. Yeah.
Take us through just quickly the process for when a script shows up on your desk, how it actually gets produced.
Absolutely. I'll use an example. I'll use two different examples. So sometimes I seek out an idea, but if a script ends up on my desk, it's usually coming from a number of different places. It'll either be unsolicited, which is such an icky word, but it just means that someone I didn't know sent me something. And usually I have a very, very smart Wesleyan graduate who is much smarter than me that reads everything first. And usually I trust her opinion because she's 23 and and has a dramaturgy degree. So I really, this is a team sport. We're all forced to collaborate for a decade. So, it has to be a script that I can see attaching myself to for the next 10 years and to fighting for. I had the pleasure of working with a producer named Daryl Roth, who's been in the game she's about to be 80. She's an absolute legend. She's produced about, I think, 6 Pulitzer Prize winning playwrights. And she always says on the next morning of opening night, producers are the first to believe and the last to give up. So we really I take a good look of like, do I want to fight for this piece no matter how difficult it might be, no matter how, can I sell is the wrong word, but can I look at this and say, I want to push this forward for the next 8 to 10 years of my life? And if I can't answer that question, it's not the right project for me. But if I really like it, then I go through the process of meeting the playwright. Sometimes there's a director already attached, sometimes there isn't. And if it comes through an agent, regardless, we do, I meet with the playwright. I want to get to know them. It's just as much of a date for them as it is for me. You have to like me. You have to trust me with your baby. Because they're all babies. I mean, I'm assuming you feel the same way, that, these are very precious pieces. And you have to get to know me to know that I'm going to keep taking that forward. And then usually I have a play right now that we just found a director for. And now that that's happened and we've done all of our dating process, we'll go into doing a 5-day workshop where we'll cast it and we'll invite some industry. I tend to be pretty selective around I don't just invite blanket 500 industry people and go, please, someone like this. I think at this point it's like, who do I think will respond to this the way that I do? And then we work together after that to find regional theaters. So whether it's La Jolla in California or Arena Stage in DC, but there are a lot of regional theaters that love to partner with commercial producers. And so we'll usually do a 50-50 split. So we'll raise money for half, they'll front the other 50%. And we try to get it on stage as fast as possible. But also, I like to do a lot of private readings first. There's nothing better than getting around a table with actors and friends, and it's cheaper that way too. But don't worry, I always pay everyone. But that's the process, and then I personally try to do everything as far away from New York as I can. I think that the idea of an out of town doesn't exist anymore because of the internet. You can never get away from the 24-hour news cycle. And so I really try to find theaters, I've worked with the Pioneer Theater in Utah, places that really love this, that really their whole community shows up. So, and then the UK is about a fourth of the price of what happens in the US. And so you can't walk in the UK anymore without running into an American producer who's trying to do their work there. And then, you really start, putting together the path. Luckily you have, unfortunately, new work on Broadway is hard without a star attached. But I think that usually the right star celebrity finds the piece, and they have to be right for it. So I'm working on a play right now. Whose play had Nora Ephron in it?
Oh, Lisa's.
So I just worked on Left on 10th with Delia Ephron, Nora's sister.
Oh, wow.
And it was one of those matchmaking things where you just find the right people. And then if you make it to Broadway, you're spending most of my time is spent, this part is the joyous part, but the rest of it is just fundraising. I basically just fundraise for a living with the side of joy that is creativity. And then you try to really look at the long-term lifespan because a show may not do super well. The piece I'm the most proud of is a play called POTUS, or Behind Every Great Done Master, 7 Women Try to Keep Him Alive. Thank you. Thank you. I love it so much. But it didn't do financially very well on Broadway. We finished our run, but it didn't make very much money. But I think 60 different theaters have done it over the last 18 months. And the long life, and we're hoping to do it in the UK, and it's been done in Argentina. You look at pieces and go, okay, well, the short-term goal of stamping the show so that other people will do it is a good enough risk for what I hope is the long-term lifespan of a piece. I want high school women to be doing POTUS, and that's the dream, is to have something that sort of lives beyond you a little bit.
So when you're doing regional theater, you're shopping at
Yeah.
regional theaters. Do you work with a certain range of, because there's a wide range of regional theater. So would you, come to a theater like this? Would you go to
Yes.
a theater,
Absolutely.
People's Light out in, Conshohocken or whatever, because the larger,
It depends. I think for plays that, I have a play that's 3 women in their 70s and 3 men in their 30s. I ran And, and that's the kind of work that's exciting to me. After POTUS, I'm like, I kind of only want to do plays for women in their 70s. Like, I don't know why, but you've been ignored too long. But yes, absolutely. I think that every part of the process where you can include the community is important. And I mean, again, we're looking for ways for to me, it's the long term. So yes, absolutely, I would.
I hope we're on your radar.
Yes, now, thanks to Judy. And, but I love it here. This is amazing. These are the theaters that make me excited because it's New York's exhausting. Yes.
I think, I could be wrong, I think the Arden is doing POTUS this season.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Go see it.
Hey. Secondly, how hard is it to fight against people just saying, let's just do Oklahoma again?
Every day of my life is should we do another Pinter revival? It's because things like that make money, and the struggle is, another star wants to play Lori or, and it's the lack of imagination. Also, new work is a huge gamble, but I think that's why you start to think of the puzzle of like, okay, well, this is a new writer that I love. Like the play that apparently I'm that's starring Fran. I go, okay, well, I know this play is good. I have a director that knows this play is good. What I need now is to find that marquee name, that grand dame of the stage, that if I can get one person to say like, yeah, this I want to fight for this too, then we can cast emerging actors. It's all about like finding your linchpin. And I wish it wasn't the case. I wish that we could just cast any, but it's the business part of it that is, they don't call it it's show business, not show fun, sadly. Some of it is really fun, but part of, I don't work a not-for-profit, so you have to look at like, okay, I gotta find that person. But I mean, I don't want to see a revival of Oklahoma. That's uninteresting to me. So it's constantly the struggle of like finding new investors that are constantly go, okay, I may possibly lose my money, but I believe that this is worth it. And that's what I do a lot of the time is pushing forward this like, this is relevant now. You have to do it now. Like this, you can't wait on this moment. And I think that that's why you become very selective about the pieces you choose because I want to fight for it for a decade. Yes.
Hi. So as something of an emerging writer myself.
You're a playwright, just say you are.
I am. I'm a playwright. Yeah. So I've been in the industry for the last 5 or so years, and I think the thing that I am running up against is like so often it's about who you know.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody who like I don't have an agent right now. What would you recommend for the unagented writer to get their work seen by somebody like you?
This is gonna sound so lame, but like Googling who's accepting scripts.
Great.
I think that sometimes it's scary to say, look at a theater and say, oh, we're not accepting unsolicited scripts. Send it fucking anyway. Like, just do it. Like, you just have to, I mean, it's really ballsy to do what you do. I mean, you're putting your heart, like, just out there. Like, you're literally pulling it outside of your body and be like, read this.
Yeah.
I think you just have to go for it.
Okay.
You really do. I mean, most theaters, if they don't read it, they've got like 12 literary interns. Just be persistent and annoying. Sure. I've been persistent and annoying my whole life, and like it's brought me here. So, so you just have to just look for your regional theaters. Look for things that are doing these play festivals because they build on each other.
Yeah.
So it's a long game, and like I believe someone said it's a vocation that you can't help yourself.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah. So, and I don't speak for the whole industry, but I really respect that, and so I think that there are a lot of producers that will read it. You just it's patience,
It sounds like I'm on the right track.
You are. You absolutely are. Just keep being annoying, because at the end of the day, it's fine. Like, okay, I'll read it. Jesus. Yeah. So just keep submitting. Just keep submitting your work. Most producers will read them.
Thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
I have a bottom line question. It might be a little embarrassing to ask, but what can a playwright actually expect monetarily if their script gets accepted by your company?
It's a wide range. It depends on how mean your agent is. So usually you get, and I don't think I'll speak in numbers, but I'll speak in tranches. You will get a payment up front when we sign the contract. You'll get a payment on first reading of your first thing. You'll get payment upon the first rehearsal of the first show that's done. You'll get an advance against the commercial production. I just negotiated someone getting a $25,000 bonus if their show gets nominated for a Tony, and it broke my very heart to sign that, but I did it. And then, the other thing is the back end. So basically, it's your subsidiary rights. So think of it as your intellectual property for 15 to 20 years. So we negotiate, so when we put up the upfront risk, we do take a portion of 100% of your subsidiary rights. But POTUS, she's making quite a lot of money every single time the show is licensed. And then we are too. And then that is divested into our investors. So if your play gets picked up and it goes the long way, there are a number of, Stephen Sondheim's doing okay. He's not alive anymore. Stephen Schwartz is doing fine. It's a range, but usually it picks up the longer someone stays with a project. So there's incentives for both sides. Yeah.
If you could give advice to you when you were younger, or college age young emerging actors, artists, soundboard operators, anyone who's looking to get into showbiz, what are the misconceptions or things that you wish that you had known earlier?
Such a good question. Keep checking back in with yourself and figuring out if this is still something you want to do, and if it's still something that brings you joy even when it's hard, keep doing it. And having a quote unquote survival job doesn't mean you're less than at something else. I worked in restaurants when I worked for 2 different general management firms. I ran a theater company where I worked the bar, and they let me keep the costumes in the beer room. You kind of have to keep your Mickey and Judy put on a show kind of feeling. I'm never tired of showing up to the theater. So you have to just keep checking back in and going, is this something that I'm still willing to do? And I think that if you can't do that, it's okay to do something else. But I was an actor, and I thought, I much preferred being the boss. And then I figured out, producing is a real job. But then you also realize that producing's really hard too. You just have to keep checking back in with yourself. And that doing something else for a little while doesn't mean you're still not an actor, or still not a playwright, or still not a director. You're just on sort of one, it all leads back. So if you still want to keep doing it, you're going to find your way. And just meet people. You never know who's going to, be your next director, or be your next producer, or be, a group of, my theater company when I was 20 years old was because my best friend and I put concerts up of new work. I genuinely did not know that this was a job. And so, I think it's about being curious about what else in the industry excites me, and just saying yes to it. Sometimes you will make $10, but not from me. I will not give you only $10. But sometimes, I made $10 an hour for a long time doing this, and you just sort of have to pull the experiences together and figure it out. But I still think it's incredibly worth it. So. You guys are all really, really great. So let's give another round of applause to that.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank
wonderful.
you. Everyone should become a member, right now.
Actresses, actors.